While this podcast isn't rated explicit, the content may not be suitable for younger listeners. Welcome to Sex for Saints, the Christian couple's guide to great sex. I am your host, certified sex and marriage coach, Amanda Lauder. This is episode 348, Sexual Surrendering. Welcome to Sex for Saints, a podcast for Christian couples. My goal with this podcast is to help enlighten, educate, and inspire you to understand yourself, your spouse, and your sexuality better. I talk about sex in a way you probably haven't heard before. I'm bold, I'm direct, but I keep everything in line with my strong Christian values. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. So happy to be here with you. Today, I want to explore what it means to fully open up, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. We're going to dive deep into the concept of sexual surrender, what it is, what it isn't, why it matters, and how you can gently encourage it within your marriage. You may find that sexual surrender is a doorway to richer, more meaningful sexuality and intimacy with your spouse. So what does sexual surrender mean? Well, it's about letting go of our need to control the outcome of the sexual experience and choosing instead to lean into the moment with openness and trust. This is different from passively accepting or giving into something. Sexual surrender is an active choice to be vulnerable, not only physically, but emotionally. It's an opportunity to be seen and known by your partner on a deeper level. Imagine you're in a situation where your usual routine feels predictable, even a little bit scripted. Sexual surrender in this context might mean letting go of those routines and expectations. Maybe it looks like telling your spouse, I want to experience tonight without expectations or goals. Let's just explore and see where it takes us. In that moment, you're signaling to your partner that it's not about achieving any specific result, but rather about sharing an authentic connection, free from pressure or pretense. Another key part of sexual surrender is letting go of judgment, both of yourself and your partner. Maybe there's a part of your body you feel self-conscious about, or perhaps you have fears about expressing your desires. Surrender allows you to say, I trust you to love me as I am, opening up space for a level of intimacy that can't be reached through guarded interactions. While surrender is powerful, it's crucial to understand what it isn't so that it remains healthy and consensual. So sexual surrender is not self-abandonment. It doesn't mean giving up your boundaries or silencing your own needs to make your partner happy. A good example here would be setting a boundary around certain activities that you're not comfortable with. And sexual surrender might mean being open to exploring new things, but it never means disregarding those boundaries and personal limits. If something feels wrong, then you can express that in a form of self-respect, not a failure to surrender. Sexual surrender is not about power or dominance. Some people mistakenly equate surrender with submission, or with giving one person full control over the other. In a healthy relationship, surrender is mutual. Both partners are giving in to the moment and allowing vulnerability to guide the experience. It is also not the absence of consent. True surrender is only possible when both partners feel secure, respected, and free to say no at any time. For instance, if your partner suggests something that makes you feel uncomfortable, surrender doesn't mean you just go along with it to please them. Instead, surrender means honestly saying, I'm not comfortable with that right now, trusting that your partner is going to respect your feelings. So what might it look like? Well, it can manifest differently based on the dynamics between you and your spouse. So here are several ways it might look. The first is letting go of self-consciousness. So if you find yourself worrying about how you look or whether you're performing well, surrender might mean making a conscious choice to be present instead of perfect. For example, instead of being preoccupied with whether or not your body looks a certain way, you might choose to focus on how it feels to be close to your spouse, breathing together, or savoring the warmth of each other's touch. You're letting go of the pressure to be a certain way and instead embracing the connection. Surrender might look like being open to new ways of connecting without fixating on a predictable income, being open to new experiences. Perhaps you're used to sex looking a certain way or taking place at certain times. Surrender could mean being open to spontaneity, like having a moment to connect even in unexpected settings. Maybe when the two of you have a quiet moment alone. It's about loosening the rigid rules and embracing the moment as it presents itself. Another powerful example of surrender is making a deliberate choice to be fully present with your partner. That might mean setting aside phones, worries, or other distractions and giving each other undivided attention. In practice, this could look like slowing down, taking time to really feel each sensation, or making eye contact through the experience. When you're fully present, intimacy shifts from a checklist of actions to a shared experience. Hey there, listeners. Exciting news. I'm opening up a few spots for one-on-one coaching again, and I'm thrilled to work with both men and women this time. If you're looking to transform your intimacy and relationships, this is your chance. Our coaching journey will span 12 weeks, giving us the time and space to make real, impactful changes. Interested? Head over to my website for more information and to secure your spot. Don't wait too long. These spots will fill up fast. Let's work together to create the relationship you've always dreamed of. So why do you think that sexual surrender could be a good thing for your relationship? Well, it really can be transformative because it builds an intimacy that goes beyond physical attraction. It really nurtures a space where each partner feels safe to be themselves. So here are some specific reasons why sexual surrendering can benefit your relationship. The first is it increases trust. So when you open up and let go of control, it's a powerful way of showing your spouse that you trust them. For instance, if you usually initiate, or if you're the one who normally guides the experience, surrendering might mean letting your spouse take the lead sometimes. This gesture communicates a deep level of trust and invites them into the moment. The second is it enhances emotional connection. By being vulnerable, you're opening yourself to emotional connection on a deeper level. Consider how different it feels when you're both truly present, focused on the experience rather than on specific outcomes. Surrender transforms intimacy into an act of shared vulnerability and connection, strengthening the emotional bond between you. The third is it reduces the pressure to perform. So when we focus on surrender, we release the pressure to perform or be a certain way. So imagine an evening where neither of you feels pressured to initiate or perform. Instead, you're simply just there to enjoy each other's presence. This creates a calm, enjoyable space, allowing each partner to feel valued for who they are, not for how well they perform or meeting certain expectations. Fourth is it invites self-discovery. So when you surrender, you're more likely to discover new things about yourself and your partner. Perhaps you discover a different kind of closeness, one that doesn't require words or actions, just presence. Or maybe by letting go of specific expectations, you open the door to spontaneous, joyful experiences that feel unique and unrepeatable. And then last, it increases physical satisfaction. So with surrender, each experience becomes about enjoying the journey rather than achieving a goal. You're both present, which often leads to deeper satisfaction, both emotionally and physically. In surrender, the experience becomes more harmonious and fulfilling as you're both focused on being rather than doing. I was actually just talking with one of the couples that I'm coaching right now about surrender a couple of weeks ago. So in their previous sexual experiences, he's been really focused on making sure that she orgasms. And that puts a lot of pressure on her so that sometimes she doesn't. And she's really worried about managing his emotions around it. And so she's afraid to say certain things and do certain things. So we talked about just letting go of the expectations and just being present with each other and seeing where it takes them. There's no, script. It doesn't mean, she has to go first and then he goes second, and we don't know where it's going to end or only ends if he has an orgasm. It's really just seeing what feels good in the moment. So let's talk about some potential issues with sexual surrender. While it can definitely bring you closer together, certain obstacles can make it challenging. So I want to talk about a few of those. First is the fear of vulnerability. Vulnerability can feel very intimidating, especially if one or both partners feels anxious about being fully open. So if one partner feels insecure about maybe a part of their body, surrendering might feel risky. Taking things slowly, expressing those feelings to each other, and having a partner who reassures and supports you can help build the trust in those moments. The next is a potential misinterpretation. So some partners might equate surrender with passivity, which can lead to misunderstandings. And so it's helpful to clarify what surrender is not about and what it is about. So it's not about the things we've talked about before, relinquishing power or not having consent or being dominated, but about choosing to open up without trying to control the experience. So sharing this perspective can help both partners feel more at ease. The third is that difficulty letting go of control. So for some, surrender might feel challenging, especially if they equate control with security. So if you or your partner struggle with this, take baby steps by practicing small acts of surrender, like allowing your partner to set the pace or suggesting new ways of connecting. The next is unmatched comfort levels. So one partner may feel more comfortable surrendering than the other, which can create some tension. The key is to respect each other's personal boundaries and gently work together to find a level of openness that feels safe for both partners. And the last is trauma. So for some, previous experiences can make surrender difficult. So if trauma or past hurt impacts your ability to surrender, working with a coach or a therapist can help you develop trust, manage that anxiety, and create a space for healthy vulnerability in your relationship. So I can imagine that to many of you, this sounds appealing, right? But what if you have a partner who won't or can't surrender? If you have a partner who struggles with surrendering, I really think you need to approach this gently and with patience. So start with a gentle, open conversation. Ask open-ended questions that invite exploration rather than pressure. For example, what would make you feel more at ease during sex? Or how can we make this feel like a shared experience for you? So these questions open the door for understanding without pressure. The second is to build trust slowly. A lot of times we just want to jump in, right? But small, consistent acts of trust building are essential. So if your partner is hesitant to surrender, focus on ways to show your own trustworthiness. Examples could be honoring their boundaries, following through on promises, or even just taking the time to listen without offering advice. So over time, these gestures create a foundation for deeper surrender. The third is to practice vulnerability yourself. So show vulnerability by sharing your thoughts and your feelings and your insecurities. This openness can invite them to share more of themselves, building mutual trust. For instance, you might share a worry or a hope you have without expecting a solution, simply just to create a space for sharing. And the fourth is consider professional support. So if your partner has experienced a lot of trauma or just finds vulnerability challenging or doesn't like the idea of sexual surrender, a coach or a therapist can help provide the tools needed to help the two of you create a safe, open space. Surrendering doesn't happen overnight. It's really a journey that you and your spouse take together, gently moving toward greater vulnerability and trust. So by opening yourself up in a way, you create a deeper emotional and physical connection that is ultimately rewarding for both of you. All right, my friends, that's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for joining me. Remember, love is a journey, not a destination. Stay committed, stay passionate, and stay connected. And have a wonderful Christmas. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Like what you're hearing on this podcast? Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Don't forget to leave me a review and share it with your friends.